going to be looking at right now is the Seattle Seahawks and why they have now collapsed. All right, and of course, looking at their quarterback is going to be Russell Wilson, still as great as ever. I think he's going to have to carry his team. He's probably going to have maybe a couple or two, probably a couple seasons, probably a minimum two, maybe more. Because he is a great quarterback, but he can only do so much and he needs some help from other teams, from his squad. His running backfield, they really haven't found a replacement since Marshawn Lynch left the team in 2000. Since his decline in 2015 when he kept getting injured, and they've been trying to find a replacement. Thomas Rawls didn't work out. They tried a few others. Right now, it looks like it could be Rashad Penny, who they drafted in the first round. They might also try Chris Carson, who had some playing time. They signed a couple other backs, but I think they want Penny to work out well for the team. Which I was actually surprised when he took Penny over Sony Mitchell. I thought he would have been much better with the team, but hey, they probably saw something in Penny that I didn't. And looking at the receiving core right now, it's primarily Doug Baldwin who has really stepped up to be the number one wide receiver. They got a few guys they want to try number two. They signed Brandon Marshall free agency, Tyler Lockett a second round pick, I believe, if I have that correct. No, third round pick from 2015 that they really want to step up and improve. He's been injured the last couple of seasons. They gave up Paul Richardson in free agencies, and they're going all out on Lockett, and I feel like they might lose both. They got a couple of role players, but it's really hard to determine who's going to be the standout wide receiver. So it could just be the Doug Baldwin and Brandon Marshall show. This offense is going to suffer if Russell Wilson doesn't have anyone to throw to outside of Baldwin. And, of course, looking at tight end, they lost both Luke Wilson and Jimmy Graham. Those are going to be some major losses that I don't know if this team can recover from. They got a couple tight ends you might want to try. I think Nick Van A might get some extra playing time. They did sign Ed Dixon, but I wouldn't. I think tight end for Wilson has been more of a security blanket for him. So losing both Graham and Wilson will definitely hurt him. And, of course, the offensive line, it's been a problem for this team for quite some time, but I think they're getting closer and closer to improving it. They did trade for Dewanne Brown, who will be their left tackle. Right tackle, I think right now is Jermaine Ifedi. I think they're going to have a bit of position battle, try some other players there to really fix it off the line, which has been the bane of their existence for quite a while. At guard, I think one of them is Ethan Pokiak. I'm not 100% sure who's going to be the other guard. Might be a little competition right there. There's probably someone there that I completely overlooked. And if I have, congrats, you got me. And at center is going to be Justin Britt. So overall, it's a decent offensive line. It has some good moments, but also some bad moments. It's pretty mixed all around, and I don't see this. I see this offense probably playing well based on the overall talent of Wilson, but it's going to be held back if the offensive line isn't fixed, and when they have to throw the ball and wide receivers are not exactly stepping up outside of Baldwin and maybe Brandon Marshall, maybe. And of course, looking at the defense, they lost a lot of players in just this season alone. Michael Bennett is gone. Cliff Averill is gone. Now Cam Chancellor is gone based on yesterday. Richard Sherman is gone. I think they only have really three players from their stint in from their two Super Bowl appearances from 2013 and 2014. That's KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner. And Earl Thomas, who I'm hearing a lot of who there could be some trade going along. There could be some trades going along. I would be shocked if he actually gets traded. The edge rushers are probably going to be Frank Clark, who they really like. I think this might be a little competition to see who's going to be the other one. They want to try Deion Jordan. They also drafted Rasheem Green in the third round of this draft, who could fit in that scheme. It really sucks that the team Malik McDowell, who they drafted last year, they had to get rid of because of a off-season injury that he's still yet to recover. This is one of the reasons why they've really struggled in really trying to regain. It's that some of their picks just really haven't hit. They've traded a lot of their first rounders for some future players, and when they did have some good picks, I mean, it just hasn't worked out. I mean, Malik McDowell is probably the best prime example. I mean, it wasn't like he played terrible. It's just he got hurt. He got hurt during an off-season incident, and has yet to really recover. I really feel bad. I do feel not just bad for the team, but for the player himself. And of course, defensive tackles. I think John Reed's going to be thrown to the starting position. I think they might have Tom Johnson. I recognize him because he's actually done pretty well, especially with the Vikings, and a little sin with the Saints. But I think defensive line could be okay. I don't think they'll get back to where they used to be, but it'll be okay. A linebacking core, you still have KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner, definitely one of the better middle linebackers in the NFL. They also drafted Shaquem Griffin in the first round, and in the fifth round, and probably what has to be one of the best things I saw from that draft, seeing him get drafted, and it's very cool to see him be with his brother Shaquille. It's very cool, and I 100% support it. They will probably have a little competition. I think Griffin might be the special teams, so he would like to be starter. They got DJ Alexander that they want to try out. They also got Joshua Perry and Kavius Mingo and some other players that they do want to try out, but it's going to be a pretty big open competition. Now we're looking at a secondary without Richard Sherman, which hasn't happened since, 2010? Their main back right now is probably going to be Shaquille Griffin, probably being their main cornerback. They got a few other players who want to try. They did bring back Byron Maxwell to play on the other side, but they're hoping some young cornerbacks would step up and be the cornerback that they need. They got a few other players who want to try out. I really can't name any of them because I don't even know they'll make the team. And the safeties, outside of Earl Thomas, is going to be competition now that Cam Chancellor has unfortunately, I think, said he's retiring. I saw his tweet. It looks like he's saying, the injuries are starting to catch up to him, and he might be forced to step back. It's very sad to see a player have his career terminated early because of the injuries. There might be some competition in between a lot of safeties that they brought in for the strong safety position, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. That defense, what once was a top-tier defense that would get turnovers on a regular basis and be a force to be reckoned with, has now unfortunately been decimated. They got rid of a lot of their core players, started getting older, and they really didn't have any good replacement for most of them. They had a few, like I said, Frank Clark is definitely one of them, but they just have really struggled trying to get the right players into replacing some of their vets. If the loss of Cam Chancellor is really hurting, the loss of Richard Sherman is really gonna hurt. It's definitely gonna really mess with this team a lot. And unfortunately, I think this team might be a fourth place team. It's not that I hate them. It's not that I think they're terrible. But looking at this team, it has its weaknesses. It has played, of course, the AFC West and of course, the NFC North. And a sad fact is that the Rams improved, and now the Niners have improved. That this is going to be a real struggle for them. I think this could be a 5-11 team. I'm not sure if this will be a last place team. Depends how they go against the Cardinals, which I don't know what I'm going to do on probably Wednesday, because it's basically it's a lot of players that they've lost. This is a somewhat rebuilding team. Is this somewhat rebuilding team? I mean, yeah, a standard rebuilding team usually doesn't have a quarterback, and they bring in a new guy, usually from free agency, but 7 times out of 10 through the draft. It's usually a team, But I guess it would classify under it just because all the players they have lost. They're trying to regain some of these other. They're trying to regain some of these players, trying to really improve, and it's going to be a tough road for them. I think they're going to struggle a lot. Probably might get a few okay wins, but say going against the Cowboys, they're going to probably be overmatched. Going against the Niners twice, the Rams, the Chargers, the Lions, they're going to have a ton of games where they could be overmatched, and it's going to be sad to see the Seahawks team struggle as much as they probably will in 2018.